Now, Rob, of course, a lot of talk about the All-Star game, at the All-Star game over the weekend. All types of things were broached, topics, subjects broached. And Kevin Durant has been talking on his podcast, The Boardroom, and he addressed LeBron James's great, incredible longevity along with the GOAT argument. Here's what KD had to say.
When he was in his 14th, 15th year, I was just like, when he's his 17th, 18th year, it's just like, damn, that's actually is dope. When you're 39 in your 20th year, and then like half your life is in the league, and then you played against like 40% of the players that's ever played in the league, it's just like, that longevity has to mean something. That has to be a standard. Like, if you really, truly want to know what greatness is like, of course you can accumulate championships in a short amount of time and accolades in a short amount of time. You can have a nice, quick spurt of moment, but like, I truly appreciate somebody who's been in that shit for a long time.
I got to tell you something, so this is sacrilegious. I grew up in the 90s. Michael Jordan broke the Knicks' heart. He broke the Pacers' heart when my man Mark Jackson was there. He created this basketball culture. Jordan shoes, $6-7 billion business a year. But if we're going to stick to the conversation that we talk about accolades and body of work, LeBron's body of work is second to none. It is second to none.
It is. It is. It is. This is his consistency is showing up.
Now, so KD he said his body of work is second to none. So I don't know. Is that saying he's the GOAT? I don't know. I'm not going to put words in KD's mouth. But Rob, you and I have talked about the longevity factor in determining GOATs. And look, the GOAT talk is largely subjective. There is no absolute right answer. As much as you and I think it's Michael Jordan and LeBron is second.
No, there is no right or wrong answer. We talk about it all the time.
As long as you're not being foolish. There's only a handful of guys you can really fairly put in there. If you want to put Bill Russell in there, somebody could try to do that. Kareem's legitimately in there. If somebody wants to try to throw Magic or but generally it boils down to three, Rob, and that's LeBron, Kareem, and Jordan. And most people, I think, clearly believe it's Jordan. I've got my views. Where are you on the longevity factor in the league? Because look, if LeBron is, we've never seen a player this great at this stage of his career. 21st year in the league. It's incredible what he's doing, but it still, to me, it doesn't outweigh what Michael Jordan did because of LeBron's longevity. I think, Rob, when you measure the greats of all time, the GOATs, my view is that peak overrides longevity. As long as that peak was in the midst of a career that was substantial in length. Michael Jordan played 15 years. Or if you take out Washington, which we don't, but he played 13 years in Chicago. So, his career was long. Right. I do think if somebody played 8 years, won 5 rings and 8, I guess you'd have an argument because you'd be like, look, the dude came and dominated and broke out. But still, as long as your career was substantial in length, I think the peak outweighs the longevity. And Rob, I'll use this quick example. There are a handful of people, I guess, that think Emmitt Smith is the best running back ever. And he was all-time great, no doubt, and probably top 5. But I think most people look at a Jim Brown, maybe a Barry Sanders, a Eric Dickerson ahead of Emmitt. I think Hank Aaron, who never hit 50 homers in a season, he's not typically viewed as the greatest baseball player because a Babe Ruth or Barry Bonds had a higher peak than him. Sandy Koufax, some people think he's the greatest pitcher.
But
his career was cut short. Right, but his peak was incredible. So that's why I think I think it's peak, Rob, and I think Jordan's peak was higher than LeBron's.
Yeah, the longevity thing doesn't work for me. It just doesn't. Being around a long time, Chris, because we talked about it, the longer LeBron plays and doesn't win, I don't think that helps his longevity argument. It's easier than ever before to score. So that's not like, oh my God, look at what LeBron's doing at age 39. Everybody's scoring. All the scoring is up, right? But we talk about impact of winning. That's what doesn't happen anymore. LeBron puts up these numbers, but his team doesn't win. They're 11th. LeBron and AD on a team, and they're 11th in the conference.
Ninth.
Okay, ninth.
Yeah.
To me, Chris, that's a demerit.
They wouldn't even be a playoff team,
right?
In the not the old days, just 5 years ago. You know?
That's a demerit to me. If he wasn't making the playoffs, talking about longevity. Can I tell you a couple other? You brought up Hank Aaron. Hank Aaron has incredible numbers, Chris. 24. He made the All-Star team 24 times.
Yep.
Okay. 24 seasons, Chris, averaged 100 RBIs. Averaged, okay? Incredible numbers. If you take away Hank Aaron's 755 home runs from his hit total, Chris, he still has 3,000 hits, which is another milestone, right?
Yep.
Like 3,000 by itself. Yep. So he has all these numbers. He played all these years. He's not considered the greatest. Gordie Howe played 26 NHL seasons, Chris, 26. His nickname, Mr. Hockey, 25 years he played with the Red Wings, right? All that. He was a great player.
Yep.
Nobody thinks he's better than Wayne Gretzky and Yager and some of these other players who have come after. Nobody, okay?
Right.
So the longevity thing is important, but it doesn't dictate who's the best player, because it has to be a combination of things, not just winning. Michael Jordan, people need to get off. It ain't just winning.
Right.
10 straight scoring titles, defensive player of the year, Chris, all kinds of other accolades that is too long to list. It ain't just the 6 rings. That's not, if that's the case, Robert Horry would be raved about. We know there's a difference between Robert Horry's rings and Michael Jordan's rings, right? There's a big difference. So I don't buy into this whole idea. Nobody's taking it away from LeBron, but if LeBron plays 24 NBA seasons and wins 4 championships, right, Chris, and hadn't won in his last 8 years in the league, how is that's the way you're going to feel? Oh, he's the greatest guy I ever saw play?
Yeah, that's the thing, is that there are two sides to the longevity argument. I mean, Rob, we've talked, and this, it might slightly impact LeBron's numbers, but probably not really. But we look at Vince Carter, who actually is up for the Hall of Fame. I think Vince is a Hall of Famer. But Vince Carter played so long that his career numbers, because his last several years weren't, he wasn't putting up big numbers. I mean, he played 22 years. And Rob, Vince Carter, who was one of the greatest scorers in the league at one point, guess how many points he averaged for his career?
17.
Yeah, 16.7. But that's because his last 10 or so, he wasn't really scoring.
And a lot of people don't even know him as that player.
They don't remember how great he was.
They don't remember him.
Dwight Howard's a prime current example. People don't remember how great Dwight was because he played a lot of these years as a mediocre player. So longevity can work against you. And obviously, LeBron's still playing at an incredibly high rate. But, Rob, that is the other side of longevity. Michael Jordan won a championship every 2.5 years of his career. And that's including the Washington years when he came back old with a bad team.
Right.
And LeBron, right at this point, it's one every 5 years. So Jordan won at twice the rate LeBron at this point. And so that's the other side of longevity. So, yeah, I agree. I don't think you can use that as the driving point in the GOAT argument. And Rob, we talk about this, and we want people to understand this because you hear it all the time. Oh, it's just rings. No, it be nuanced. When you debate the GOAT, whether it's calling up here or just in your own discussions, barbershop talk, whatever it is.
Or the bar or something.
It's a nuanced, right? It's a nuanced discussion. It is not just rings. It is not just stats. If it was just rings, it'd be Bill Russell. If it was just stats, who was the caller? Was it Jerome called in and said it's Wilt Chamberlain?
Wilt Chamberlain
no,
owns
it's
72,
a
right.
combination.
If it was about records, it would be Wilt Chamberlain.
Stats, it's a combination of winning, individual dominance, team dominance, your skill set, the eye test, the competition, all of this stuff, who your teammates were, all of that.
Chris, what's the other one we talk about? About people who didn't eat. The great players who didn't eat and get a championship during the Jordan run.
Winning. Yep.
Right. And then you have the flip side. We could say to LeBron, okay, during his era, his long run, who didn't win a championship, Chris? Everybody who's supposed
that
to
level
win
of
won.
player for the most part won a ring. Yeah, Dirk and Duncan and Kobe, obviously.
Steph won as many as LeBron has won.
Durant. Yeah. I mean, that is a fact. Like, I say, like, the way LeBron shut down the Eastern Conference, he had it on lock. I mean, teams were shook, literally shook, when they faced him in the Eastern Conference Finals. And it was great. But guess what? Jordan did that to the entire league.
Right.
That's the thing. He had the whole league on lock.
You're talking about Hall of Famers, Chris, right?
Right.
He's got 10 Hall of Famers who couldn't sniff the championship trophy. I think that's incredible.
And they never took him to a game 7. He went 7 in the East, but never in the finals.